The light rain pattered on the Birmingham highway, but the sound of handcuffs clicking shut was what truly sent a chill down the spine. Lieutenant Nia Carter, a Black Navy officer, was unjustly pulled over, now facing Sergeant Derek Vance, a man wielding his authority and racial bias to intimidate. "Get out of the car, don't ask questions," he growled, but Nia, armed with a secret recording and a steadfast gaze, refused to back down. A mysterious car watched from a distance, hinting at a dark web of corruption. Will Nia expose the system of abuse, or will the darkness swallow her whole? Follow along to find out. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not miss Nia's journey for justice. Let's spread the message of courage and fighting against injustice together. Drop a comment. What do you think Nia will do to win? Watch now. The highway on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama, at 10:30 p.m. was as quiet as a still painting. A light rain fell, coating the road in a glossy sheen that reflected the faint glow of streetlights. Long, dark shadows stretched across the pavement, broken only by the headlights of a few passing cars. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, gripped the steering wheel of her rented sedan, her fingers tapping to the rhythm of Nina Simone's "Feeling Good" playing through the speakers. She wore a simple black jacket, jeans, and her hair pulled back neatly, giving no hint of her identity as a Navy intelligence officer just back from a grueling 3-month mission in the Middle East. All Nia wanted now was to get home, hug her mom, and enjoy a warm family dinner. Suddenly, flashing red and blue lights erupted in her rearview mirror. A patrol car closed in fast. Nia tightened her grip on the wheel, not out of fear, but from a familiar exhaustion. She'd been pulled over too many times, just for the color of her skin. "Here we go again," she muttered, taking a deep breath, signaling, and pulling onto the shoulder. She turned off the engine, placed her hands on the wheel, her gaze sharp but calm. Under her jacket, she discreetly activated the recording mode on her phone, a gut feeling telling her tonight wouldn't be simple. Her fingers brushed the silver necklace, a gift from her sister Lila, who died in a wrongful arrest 10 years ago. "Stay with me, sis," Nia whispered. The patrol car stopped right behind her. Sergeant Derek Vance, 45, stepped out, his heavy boots scraping the asphalt. One hand rested near his gun, the other held a flashlight, its beam sweeping over Nia's car as if searching for something. The badge on his chest gleamed, engraved with the name Vance. He tapped hard on her window twice, his voice cold. "License and registration, now." Nia looked up, her calm gaze meeting his icy stare. "Good evening, Sergeant Vance," she said, her tone soft but firm. "What did I do wrong?" Vance smirked, aiming the flashlight directly into her face, deliberately trying to blind her. "I said give me your papers, don't ask questions." Nia gave a faint smile, holding his gaze. "I just want to know the reason, sir. That's my right, isn't it?" She slowly opened the glove compartment, retrieving her documents, but deliberately repeated his name clearly for the recording. "Sergeant Derek Vance, what's the reason for the stop?" Vance snatched the papers, glaring at her. "Broken taillight, that reason enough for you, ma'am?" Nia frowned, her voice still steady. "A taillight. This car was checked last week, sir. Want to step out and look at it together?" Vance let out a scoff, but it didn't hide his irritation. "You trying to tell me how to do my job?" He swept the flashlight inside her car, pausing on the military duffel bag in the back seat. "What's in that bag? Drugs? Weapons?" Nia kept her tone calm. "Just clothes, Sergeant. I'm coming back from a work trip. You want to search it, go ahead and follow procedure. But I'm still waiting for an answer about that taillight." Vance stepped back, his eyes narrowing, clearly not used to being challenged. "Get out of the car," he ordered, his voice dropping into a threatening growl. Nia glanced at the empty road, lit only by dim streetlights and the light rain. She noticed a black SUV parked about 100 meters away, its lights off, but a shadowy figure was visible through the window, watching. Her heart beat faster. This wasn't a coincidence, something bigger was at play. "Get out for what, Sergeant Vance?" she asked, her voice sharp as a blade. "You still haven't told me what I did wrong." Vance slammed his hand on her car door, his eyes blazing with anger. You resisting now? Get out, or I'll drag you out. Nia took a deep breath, her hand brushing the necklace, drawing strength from Lila. I'm not resisting, Sergeant, she said, emphasizing the word law. I'm asking if you're following the law. If you want to arrest me, state the charge. I'm listening. Vance let out a laugh, but it was tense. You think you're smart? I've been doing this for 20 years. No one like you gets to lecture me. Nia opened the door, stepping out and standing tall at 5 feet 8 inches, her demeanor calm but ready. Rain clung to her jacket, but she didn't blink. 20 years, Sergeant. Then you should know a citizen's rights better than anyone. What did I do to have to get out? Vance stepped closer, his breath visible in the cold air. You want to play tough? Turn around, hands on the car. Nia repeated, her voice unchanged. For what reason? He lost his patience, yanking the handcuffs from his belt. Resisting an officer. How's that for a reason? Nia gave a cold smile, making Vance hesitate for a split second. Resisting? I'm just asking if you're following the law, Sergeant Vance. But if you want to play this game, go ahead. She turned, placing her hands on the hood, feeling the cold metal under her palms. But I'm warning you, she said, her voice low but sharp, you're digging your own grave. Vance sneered, cuffing her wrists so tightly she winced. Real smart, he growled, shoving her toward the patrol car. I'll teach you to shut your mouth. He locked her in the back seat, slamming the door with a metallic clang that sounded like a sentencing. Vance slid into the driver's seat, muttering into his radio, ringing in a resistor to the station. He turned back, glaring at her through the partition. Who do you think you are? You're gonna regret opening your mouth. Nia met his gaze, her voice calm but defiant. No, Sergeant Vance, you're the one who's going to regret this. Through the window, she caught a glimpse of the black SUV in the distance starting up, silently pulling away. Her heart pounded. Vance wasn't acting alone, and she just stepped into a web far more dangerous than she'd imagined. The Birmingham police station reeked of moldy concrete and burnt coffee. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, casting eerie shadows on the dirty tiled floor. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, sat on a cold metal bench in the holding cell, her wrists still sore from the tight handcuffs Sergeant Derek Vance had used. She wore a black jacket, her hair pulled back neatly, her gaze sharp but calm. 15 years in the Navy, from checkpoints in Baghdad to sleepless nights analyzing intel, had taught her how to control her emotions. This was just another challenge, but on her home turf, where she never expected to face such injustice. Nia took a deep breath, feeling the silver necklace from her sister Lila under her shirt, whispering, "I'll get through this, sis." The recording was still safe in her jacket pocket, her phone confiscated but locked with a code Vance couldn't crack. She tilted her head, listening to the clack of a typewriter at the front desk and the raspy laugh of another officer. The air was stifling, but Nia didn't let it seep into her mind. Control your breathing, control your mind, she muttered, applying the mantra she'd learned in the military. Heavy footsteps echoed, slow like the beat of a drum. Derek Vance appeared in front of the bars, arms crossed, a smug grin plastered on his face. "Comfortable, girl?" he taunted, tilting his head as if examining a caged animal. "You were so tough out on the road. Where's that attitude now?" "Gone quiet, huh?" Nia looked up, her gaze locking onto his, her voice low but sharp. "I only stay quiet when I need to, Sergeant Vance. But you talk too much, especially when no one wants to hear it." Vance laughed, but the sound was hollow. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But in here, no one cares who you are. You're just a black girl who dared to mouth off to a cop." Nia gave a cold smile, making Vance pause. "A black girl? That why you cuffed me so tight? Or are you just used to bullying people who don't fight back?" She tilted her head, her tone challenging. "Tell me, Vance, how many times have you done this? And how many times have you gotten away with it?" Vance narrowed his eyes, his hands gripping the bars tightly. "You don't know what you're talking about. Sit there, and by morning, you'll know what regret feels like." Nia shrugged, her voice light but cutting. "Regret? I'm still waiting for you to explain that broken taillight. Or did you just make it up to pull me over?" Vance slammed his hand against the bars, the metal ringing sharply. "Shut your mouth. You think you're smart, but I'll show you who's in charge here." Before Nia could reply, another figure appeared. Officer Caleb Reed, 24, in a police uniform, clutched a notebook, his anxious eyes darting toward Vance. "Sergeant," Caleb said, his voice slightly shaky, "there's a call at the front desk. Someone high up, asking about her." Vance spun around, his eyes blazing with anger. "High up? Who? Don't waste my time, Reed." Caleb swallowed hard, his grip tightening on the notebook. I don't know, sir. But they said they're from the Navy. A colonel. They want to know why she's being held." Nia smiled in the shadows, her eyes glinting. Vance turned back, glaring at her as if he could burn a hole through her. "Who are you to get a colonel calling?" he growled, his voice starting to tremble. Nia shrugged, her tone soft but dripping with sarcasm. "I didn't call anyone, Sergeant. But it looks like you called trouble down on yourself. Done a background check on me yet, or do you think all black people are the same?" Vance slammed the bars again. "Real smart. Just wait, I'll keep you in here for a week." Caleb interjected, his voice nervous. "Sergeant, the chief wants you up front now. They're asking about your dashcam." Vance turned to Caleb, his eyes like they could set him on fire. "Dashcam? What are you blabbering about? Do your job, Reed." He turned back to Nia, growling, "Sit tight. I'll be back." He stormed off, his boots echoing down the hall. Caleb lingered, his eyes scanning to ensure Vance was gone. He discreetly slid a water bottle and a folded piece of paper through the bars, whispering, "I'm sorry." I'll try to help." Then he hurried off, as if afraid of being caught. Nia picked up the water bottle and unfolded the note. "He's got someone protecting him. Be careful." Her heart pounded. Vance wasn't acting alone, and Caleb knew something. She sat back down, her mind racing. Caleb was a rookie cop, clearly scared of Vance, but he'd just risked himself to warn her. Nia needed to pull him to her side. A phone rang at the front desk, an officer's voice ringing out, "Colonel Ramsey from the Navy." "I need to speak to the chief now." Nia smiled. The pressure from the Navy was making Vance panic, but she needed more concrete evidence than her recording. Her chance came when Caleb returned, pretending to check the hallway. Nia stood, her voice low but firm. "Caleb, thanks for the note, but I need the truth. Who's behind Vance?" Caleb flinched, his eyes darting around. I can't say," he whispered, his voice trembling. "If I talk, my mom, she's really sick. Vance will ruin me." Nia leaned closer to the bars, her tone gentle but resolute. "Caleb, your mom needs a hero, not someone who stays silent. I know you see what's wrong. Help me, and I promise I'll protect you." Caleb swallowed hard, his hands shaking. His phone lit up, a text popping up. "Vance says the big plan is moving forward. Don't mess it up." Nia pretended not to see, but her heart raced. "A big plan." Caleb discreetly pulled a USB drive from his pocket, sliding it through the bars. "Here, emails between Vance and someone named Holt. I didn't dare read them all, but they're not clean." Nia grabbed the USB, her eyes lighting up. "Thank you, Caleb. You just did the right thing." Caleb nodded, but his eyes were still anxious. "Be careful, Lieutenant Holt, he's not just anyone." He walked away, leaving Nia in the cell. She gripped the USB tightly, feeling Lila's necklace under her shirt. Vance was just the tip of the iceberg. Raymond Holt, this name would lead her to the heart of the corruption network. She'd stepped into a battle bigger than she'd imagined, but Nia wasn't afraid. She was ready. Dawn cast a pale light over Birmingham, the police station where Nia Carter had been held overnight, now buzzed with hurried footsteps and tense voices. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, stepped out of the holding cell, her gaze sharp but weary. Her black jacket still carried dust from the cell's bench, but the silver necklace, a keepsake from her sister Lila, gleamed under the light, a reminder of why she was fighting. Pressure from the Navy, especially a call from Colonel Ramsey, had forced the station chief to release her, return her phone, and offer a half-hearted apology. But Nia knew this wasn't a victory, just a first step. The recording and the USB of emails from Caleb Reed were weapons, but to take down Raymond Holt's corruption network, she needed more. Nia stood outside the station, breathing in the crisp morning air. Her phone buzzed, a text from Maya Torres, a 40-year-old human rights lawyer. "Meet me at my office, now. I've got info on Holt." Nia nodded to herself, her fingers brushing the necklace. "All right, Lila, let's get to work," she whispered, heading toward her rental car. But first, she needed to see her mom, the one person who understood the pain of losing Lila, and who always reminded her to never give up. Evelyn Carter's small apartment sat in a quiet neighborhood, the smell of freshly baked cookies wafting from the kitchen. Evelyn, 60, her silver hair tied back loosely, hugged Nia so tightly that Nia could feel her mother's worry. "Are you okay, Nia?" she asked, her voice trembling, her eyes scanning Nia's red, bruised wrists. Nia smiled, trying to hide her exhaustion. "I'm fine, Mom. Just a long night." Evelyn pulled her into the kitchen, setting a steaming mug of coffee in front of her. "Don't hide from me. I know you were locked up. It's them again, isn't it? Like Lila." The mention of her sister made Nia freeze. She stared into the coffee mug, memories of Lila, her radiant smile, her idealistic voice flooding back. 10 years ago, Lila, 25, had been unjustly pulled over, accused of resisting, and died in custody from an accident. The truth was covered up, and the Carter family never got justice. Nia gripped the necklace, her voice low. "Mom, I won't let what happened to Lila happen again. Derek Vance, he's got someone behind him. Raymond Holt, I'm going to take them both down." Evelyn took her hand, her eyes brimming with tears. "You're strong, Nia, but I'm scared. Lila wanted to change things too, and look what happened." She stood, retrieving an old wooden box from a shelf, pulling out a yellowed letter. "Lila wrote this before she passed. I think you need to read it." Nia's hands trembled as she unfolded the letter, Lila's handwriting clear. "I want a fair world, where no one gets hurt just for being who they are. If I can't do it, Nia, I know you will." Nia blinked, tears streaming down her face. "Sis," she whispered, feeling PTSD creep in, nightmares of Lila, the sound of handcuffs, the screams. But the letter was like a spark, reigniting her resolve. "Mom, I promise. For Lila, I'll see this through to the end." Nia left her mom's house, driving to Maya Torres' office in downtown Birmingham. Maya, her curly hair tied back and her gaze sharp, spread a stack of documents on the desk. "Nia, Holt isn't just a councilman," she said, her tone grave. "He used to be a police chief, and 10 years ago, he got Vance out of jail for assaulting a suspect. That's their debt of loyalty." The USB from that kid Caleb shows emails between them, discussing cleaning up wrongful arrests. Nia frowned, her voice hard. "Holt's been backing Vance from the start. He thinks he's untouchable?" Maya nodded, handing her a piece of paper. "Caleb just sent this address, Magnolia Hotel, where Holt gets monthly payments. If we can record it, we'll have direct evidence." Nia gripped the paper, her heart racing. "We need to move fast, Maya." "But Caleb, he's scared." Maya tilted her head, her tone softening. "He risked a lot to help you. Do you have a plan to protect him?" Nia nodded, her voice firm. "He's the key. I won't let him fall into Vance or Holt's hands." Nia contacted Caleb, arranging to meet at a small coffee shop. Caleb arrived, wearing a green hoodie, his eyes anxious. He sat across from her, his hands twisting together. "Lieutenant, I'm not sure I did the right thing," he said, his voice shaky. "My mom, she depends on me. If Vance or Holt find out I gave you the USB, they'll destroy my family." Nia leaned forward, her gaze steady. "Caleb, I understand your fear. I've been scared every day since I lost my sister. But you gave me the USB. You chose to stand up. Don't stop now." Caleb swallowed hard, his voice low. "Holt, I heard Vance say he's got someone on the board of directors. If we touch Holt, the whole system will come after us." Nia smiled, her tone sharp. "The whole system? Then we'll take it down. Are you with me to go to the Magnolia Hotel? We need to catch Holt taking the money." Caleb shook his head, his eyes panicked. I don't know. If we get caught, what happens to my mom? Nia placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice gentle but strong. Caleb, your mom will be proud knowing her son's a hero. Maya and I will protect you. You're not alone. Caleb took a deep breath, his gaze slowly steadying. Okay, I'll go, but we need to be careful. Vance bragged that Holt has security at the hotel. Nia nodded, her eyes lighting up. Good, get a camera ready, Caleb. We're going to make Holt show his true colors. As Caleb stood, his phone lit up, a text popping up. Holt wants to speed up the plan. Don't let Carter ruin it. Nia pretended not to see, but her heart pounded. What plan? Holt was preparing something bigger than she thought. Nia left the coffee shop, clutching Lila's letter in her pocket. Memories of her sister made her tremble, but they also fueled her strength. Holt and Vance weren't just abusers of power. They were part of a system that had taken Lila and countless others. With Maya, Caleb, and her sister's letter, Nia was ready for the next battle. She'd go to the Magnolia Hotel, and no matter the danger, she wouldn't back down. The Birmingham County Courthouse glowed under the early morning light. Rays of sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating rows of wooden benches packed with spectators, from reporters to curious locals. The air was taut as a bowstring, whispers rippling through the crowd like waves. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, stood at the plaintiff's table, dressed in a navy blue suit, her gaze sharp but composed. The silver necklace from her sister Lila glinted in the light, a reminder of her mission. Beside her, Maya Torres, a 40-year-old human rights lawyer, flipped through a stack of documents, her eyes cold and focused like a hunter ready to strike. Across from them, Sergeant Derek Vance sat in the defendant's chair, his police uniform still crisp, but his darting eyes betrayed his tension. Judge Margaret Ellison, 62, her silver hair neatly tied back, banged her gavel, her voice echoing through the room. We will now begin the trial regarding the unlawful arrest of Lieutenant Nia Carter by Sergeant Derek Vance. Plaintiff, proceed. Maya stood, her voice clear. Your Honor, we have evidence proving that Sergeant Vance arrested Lieutenant Carter without legal cause, while engaging in abuse of power and racial discrimination. We request that all charges against Miss Carter be dropped and that Vance's conduct be investigated. Nia stared straight at Vance, her gaze unwavering. He smirked, whispering to his lawyer, but his hands gripped the edge of the table tightly. Maya held up a phone, pressed play, and the recording from that night filled the room. Nia's voice, calm. Sergeant Vance, what did I do wrong? Vance's voice, growling. Get out of the car, don't ask. Resisting an officer, how's that for a reason? The courtroom buzzed, a few spectators shaking their heads in anger. Maya turned to the judge. This wasn't a traffic stop, Your Honor. This was abuse of power. Vance jumped up, his voice shrill. She resisted. I followed procedure. Nia gave a cold smile, her tone low. Procedure, Sergeant. You call cuffing me so hard I bled and making up a story about a broken taillight procedure. The audience murmured, Judge Ellison narrowing her eyes, motioning for Vance to sit. Maya continued, projecting dashcam footage onto a screen. Vance appeared, yelling in Nia's face, his flashlight blinding her, cuffing her roughly. He muttered into his radio, ringing in a resistor to the station. The courtroom erupted in whispers, several reporters scribbling furiously. Still not enough, Sergeant? Maya asked, her voice sharp as a blade. She held up the USB from Caleb Reed. These are emails between you and Councilman Raymond Holt, discussing falsifying reports to cover up wrongful arrests, including Lieutenant Carter's case. Vance's face paled, his eyes darting around. I don't know anything about those emails, he stammered. Maya tilted her head, her tone mocking. Really? Then let's hear from our witness. Caleb Reed, 24, stepped forward, his police uniform slightly wrinkled, his eyes nervous but determined. He took the witness stand, his hands trembling. I'm Officer Caleb Reed, he said, his voice shaky. I worked under Sergeant Vance. He forced me to falsify reports in multiple arrest cases, saying I'd lose my job if I didn't comply. The courtroom fell silent. Nia gave him an encouraging nod, her gaze warm. Vance slammed the table, shouting, "You're lying, Reed. You've got no proof." Caleb took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto Vance. "I do, Sergeant. I saved the emails you sent to Holt, saying you'd clean up the Carter case. You said Holt would protect you, like always." The audience gasped, Judge Ellison banging her gavel for order. Maya turned to Vance, her voice icy. "Holt protected you, didn't he? Who is Holt, and how many cases like this has he covered up?" Vance trembled, his eyes wild with panic. He turned to the judge, his voice breaking. "Fine. Holt gave the orders. He said as long as I followed through, he'd take care of everything. He's a councilman with people on the board of directors backing him." The courtroom exploded in murmurs, reporters scribbling frantically. Nia gripped her necklace, feeling as if Lila were watching. But she knew Holt wasn't here. He was still out there, confident he was untouchable. Maya held up a new document, her voice ringing out. "Your Honor, we have Vance's bank records, showing monthly payments of $5,000 from a shell company linked to Holt. This isn't just one rogue cop. This is a corruption network." Vance slumped in his chair, his hands covering his face. Judge Ellison looked at him, her tone stern. "Sergeant Vance, do you have anything to say?" Before Vance could respond, a man stood from the audience. Raymond Holt's lawyer, his demeanor calm but his eyes sharp. "Your Honor," he said smoothly, "Councilman Holt denies all allegations. There's no direct evidence linking him to Vance's actions. We request a continuance for further investigation." The audience buzzed, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Nia felt her blood boil. Holt was trying to slip away. She stood, her voice low but powerful. "Your Honor, Holt isn't just linked. He's the center of this. And if his lawyer thinks we'll stop here, then listen to this." She turned to Maya, nodding. Maya smiled, holding up her phone. "We just received word from the board of directors. They're investigating a high-level protector of Holt's, based on the emails from this USB. Holt isn't as untouchable as he thinks." The courtroom erupted, Holt's lawyer paling as he sat back down. Vance looked up, his eyes bloodshot, shouting, "Holt. He promised he'd protect me. He said no one would touch him because of the board." He collapsed, his voice choking. "I just followed orders." Judge Ellison banged her gavel, her tone firm. "Enough. Sergeant Vance, you will be detained for further investigation. Lieutenant Carter, all charges against you are dismissed." Nia exhaled, her eyes meeting Caleb's. He nodded, a flicker of relief in his gaze. Maya patted her shoulder, whispering, "We took down Vance, but Holt's still out there." "Ready for the next fight?" Nia gripped her necklace, her voice resolute. "Ready, Maya. Holt won't get away." She stepped out of the courtroom, sunlight hitting her face, but her mind was focused on Holt. He was the heart of the network that had taken Lila, and she wouldn't stop until he fell. The Magnolia Hotel in Birmingham shimmered under the evening's golden lights. The lobby sparkled with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers, but the atmosphere inside was heavy, like the calm before a storm. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, stood in a shadowed corner near the elevator, wearing a black jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over her face. The silver necklace from her sister Lila glinted in the light, a small flame keeping her alert. Beside her, Officer Caleb Reed, 24, in a gray hoodie, gripped a mini camcorder tightly, his anxious eyes scanning the room. They had just spotted Councilman Raymond Holt, 50, stepping out of the elevator, a thick envelope in his hand, his gaze wary like someone hiding guilt. Nia signaled Caleb, her whisper sharp, "Start recording, don't let him see you." Caleb nodded, his hands shaky but managing to activate the device, capturing Holt as he exchanged a few words with a man in a suit, his eyes cold and calculating. The envelope changed hands, and Holt disappeared down the hallway toward room 312. Nia tightened her grip on her phone, which was also recording, her voice low. "Follow him, Caleb. This is our chance." Caleb swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "Nia, if we get caught, my mom, I don't know what'll happen." Nia placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze steady. "Your mom will be proud. We'll protect her, I promise." Let's go. They followed quietly, their footsteps nearly silent on the thick red carpet. The door to room 312 was slightly ajar, golden light spilling out along with Holt's voice, low and tense. Vance talked, but I'll handle it. The board of directors wouldn't dare touch me. Another voice, colder, replied, Carter's the problem. She's got the Navy backing her. If she gets this envelope, we're done. Nia motioned for Caleb to adjust the camera, whispering, get it all. This is direct evidence, but her heart pounded. Holt knew she was after him. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed behind them. A tall security guard, ripping a radio, approached, his voice a growl. What are you two doing here? Caleb flinched, nearly dropping the camera. Nia stayed calm, her tone light but firm. We're on the wrong floor. Sorry, we'll leave now. She pulled Caleb back, but the guard blocked their path, his eyes narrowing. Hand over the camera, he ordered, his hand tightening on the radio. Nia stepped in front of Caleb, her voice laced with sarcasm. Camera, this is just a phone, recording for social media. Is that a problem? The guard squinted, his tone threatening. Don't play with me, I know what you're up to. Hand it over, or I'll call the cops. Nia gave a cold smile, her voice sharp. The cops. Great, call them. I'd love to meet the ones working for Councilman Holt. She emphasized Holt's name, watching for a reaction. The guard froze, a flicker of fear in his eyes. The door to room 312 swung open, and Holt stepped out, his gray suit pristine, his gaze like a blade. Lieutenant Carter, he said, his voice smooth but menacing. I didn't expect to see you here. You like stirring up trouble, don't you? Nia stood tall, her gaze unwavering. Stirring up trouble? No, Councilman Holt, I'm just after the truth. And it looks like you know more about it than you're willing to admit. Holt laughed, but the sound was strained. The truth. You're digging into something you don't understand. Vance was a pawn, but you won't touch me. Caleb spoke up suddenly, his voice shaky but resolute. We've got video, Mr. Holt. You taking that envelope, we know it's not clean. You're not as untouchable as you think. Holt turned to Caleb, his eyes blazing with anger. Who are you? Some rookie cop daring to threaten me. You and her will regret this. Nia stepped forward, her voice cutting like a knife. Regret? I lost my sister to people like you, Holt. People who use power to hide their crimes. You want to test me? Go ahead. Holt fell silent, his eyes flickering between rage and fear. He turned to the guard, gesturing. Get them out of here. Don't make a scene. But before the guard could act, Holt spoke, his voice low, almost a whisper. You don't understand, Carter. I did all of this for Ava, my daughter. After the accident, I owe her a future. Nia paused, her gaze softening for a moment. Ava, the girl who's paralyzed because you drove drunk, right? You think dirty money and a corruption network will make up for that? Ava needs a father, not a criminal. Holt clenched his fists, his eyes filled with pain, but he shook his head. You don't get to judge me. Leave, or you'll lose more than you think. Nia and Caleb were shoved into the lobby, their hearts pounding. Outside, rain began to fall, and Nia pulled Caleb into the car, checking the camera. We've got the video, she said, her voice steady, but Holt won't go down easy. Caleb lowered his head, his voice trembling. I'm scared, Nia. If Holt finds out I recorded, my mom. Nia gripped his shoulder, her tone strong. Caleb, you just faced Holt. You're a hero. Maya and I will protect your mom. We'll finish this. They drove to Maya's office. Maya, poring over documents, looked up, her eyes lighting up when she saw the video. This is amazing, she said. I just found more evidence. Holt's account gets $10,000 a month from the same shell company paying Vance. We'll use this in court. But Nia suddenly trembled, memories of Lila, the sound of handcuffs, the screams, flooding back. She clutched her head, breathing hard, PTSD flaring up. I don't know if I can keep going, she whispered, her voice breaking. Maya took her hand, her tone gentle. Nia, you've come this far. Lila's watching you, and we're here. Caleb nodded, his voice firm. You gave me courage, Nia. Now it's my turn. We'll take Holt down, together. Nia took a deep breath, touching the necklace, feeling Lila's presence. "Thank you," she said, her eyes regaining their fire. "We'll bring Holt into the light." She stood, looking out the window as the rain fell harder. Holt might be a cornered beast, but Nia wasn't afraid. With the video, financial evidence, and her team, she was ready for the final battle. The Birmingham County Courthouse shone brightly under the midday sun. The wooden benches were packed with reporters, locals, and officials, whispers spreading through the crowd like waves. Lieutenant Nia Carter, 34, stood at the plaintiff's table, her navy blue suit fitting sharply, her gaze resolute yet somber. The silver necklace from her sister Lila glinted, a guiding flame through her final battle. Beside her, Maya Torres, a 40-year-old human rights lawyer, organized her documents, her eyes cold and focused like a hunter ready to deliver the killing blow. Across from them, Councilman Raymond Holt, 50, sat in an elegant gray suit, his posture straight, but his flickering eyes betrayed his fear. In the back row, Ava Holt, 18, sat in a wheelchair, gripping the armrests tightly, her eyes red but burning with determination. Judge Margaret Allison, 62, banged her gavel, her voice echoing through the room. "We will now proceed with the case against Councilman Raymond Holt, charged with falsifying evidence, bribery, and operating a corruption network. Plaintiff, present your case." Maya stood, her voice clear. "Your Honor, we have video from the Magnolia Hotel showing Mr. Holt accepting a cash envelope from a shell company, emails between him and Sergeant Vance discussing the cover-up of wrongful arrests, and bank records showing $10,000 monthly deposits from the same company. This isn't just individual corruption, this is a system run by Holt." The courtroom buzzed, reporters scribbling frantically. Holt smiled, his voice smooth. "Your Honor, this is a smear campaign. I've served Birmingham for 20 years. This evidence is fabricated, and I have no connection to Vance." Nia gripped her necklace, her eyes flaring. "Served," she said, her voice low but sharp. "You call protecting Vance, letting him arrest and harm innocent people like my sister, serving? You built a system that crushes people, and you dare call that honor?" Holt turned to her, his gaze icy. "Lieutenant Carter, I sympathize with your loss, but don't turn a personal tragedy into a political weapon. You have no direct evidence against me." Maya cut in, her voice like a blade. "No evidence. We have video of you taking money, emails of you ordering Vance to falsify reports, and bank records. Who will the jury believe, a councilman with a shady history, or those who dared to stand up for justice?" Holt remained confident, glancing at his team of lawyers behind him, their eyes sharp, hinting at a larger force at play. Nia felt her heart tighten. Holt still thought he was untouchable. Judge Ellison reviewed the documents, her tone measured. "Ms. Torres' evidence is compelling, but to convict Mr. Holt, we need a more direct link." "Mr. Holt, what do you have to say?" Holt stood, his voice slick. "I'm the victim of a conspiracy. Those payments were legal donations, the video was just a business meeting." Vance acted alone, the courtroom murmured, the jury wavering. Maya whispered to Nia, "He's got someone backing him, Nia. We need a knockout blow." Nia took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping the room, landing on Ava. The young girl clutched a letter, her eyes brimming with tears, looking at her father with a mix of pain and hope. Nia stood, her voice ringing out, speaking not just to the judge but to Holt and Ava. "Your Honor, I have a question for Mr. Holt. You say you served Birmingham, but have you thought about the people your system has hurt? Like my sister, who died in a wrongful arrest. And have you thought about Ava, your daughter, sitting there, watching her father defend an unjust system?" The courtroom fell silent, Holt paling, his eyes darting to Ava. Ava took a deep breath, her voice shaky but clear, rising from her wheelchair. "Dad, please, stop." She held up the letter, her handwriting trembling. "I wrote this for Mom after I learned you hid the truth about the accident. You drove drunk, and I lost my ability to walk. I love you, but I don't want to live in the shadow of your crimes anymore. Tell the truth, for me, for Mom." Tears streamed down her face, but her gaze was unwavering. The courtroom was deathly quiet. Holt slumped in his chair, hands covering his face, shoulders shaking. "Ava," he whispered, his voice choked. "I did it all for you, to make up for it." Ava shook her head, her voice breaking. "I don't need dirty money, Dad. I need the father who used to hold me and tell me stories. Please, admit it." Holt looked up, his eyes red, facing the judge. I'm guilty," he said, his voice faltering. "I ordered Vance to falsify reports, took money to cover it up. I was wrong." The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Ellison banged her gavel, her tone firm. "Mr. Raymond Holt, based on your confession and the evidence, I find you guilty. This trial is concluded." Nia exhaled, her eyes meeting Ava's. The girl nodded, tears still falling, but her gaze filled with relief. Caleb, standing nearby, took Nia's hand, whispering, "We did it, Nia." Maya smiled, patting her shoulder. "You're a light in the darkness, Carter." Outside the courthouse, warm sunlight bathed Nia's face. Her phone lit up, an email from the board of directors. "The Holt case has sparked a full investigation into the police department. Thank you, Lieutenant Carter." Nia gripped her necklace, looking at the sky, whispering, "Lila, I did it. For you, for everyone." She turned to Caleb and Ava, her eyes bright. "We're starting a campaign against corruption to protect those without a voice." "Who's with me?" Ava smiled, her voice steady. "Me, for my dad, for the future." Caleb nodded. "Me, for my mom, for justice." Nia walked forward, sunlight surrounding her. Holt and Vance had fallen, but she knew more battles lay ahead. With Lila in her heart, Caleb and Ava by her side, she was ready. Justice wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and she'd never stop. The lesson from Nia Carter's story is a powerful testament to the strength of courage, compassion, and unity in the fight for justice. Nia, a Black Navy officer, faced racial discrimination and abuse of power from Sergeant Derek Vance, but she refused to back down. Armed with a recording, the support of Caleb Reed, and evidence from Maya Torres, she brought down Councilman Raymond Holt's corruption network. Nia's journey teaches us that justice doesn't come on its own. It demands persistence, intelligence, and the courage to confront those in power. Caleb, overcoming his fear for his mother's sake, represents a younger generation daring to make a change. Ava Holt, despite her pain over her father, chose the truth, proving that family love can guide us through darkness. The story also exposes systemic injustice, from racial bias to high-level corruption. Nia, carrying the pain of losing her sister Lila, didn't just fight for herself but for all those without a voice. Ava's letter and Nia's determination remind us that change starts with the heart and small actions, a recording, a testimony, a letter. Leadership, as Nia demonstrates, is the responsibility to protect the vulnerable, not to control them. The anti-corruption campaign launched by Nia, Caleb, and Ava inspires us. Each of us can make a difference if we dare to speak up. This story calls us to look at the injustices around us and take action, no matter how small. Like Nia, let's listen. Like Caleb, let's push past fear. And like Ava, let's trust in the truth. Justice is a journey that requires collective effort, and every step forward matters. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel to catch more inspiring stories coming your way. Every interaction helps spread the message of justice and courage. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do to fight injustice? Let's build a community where the truth is always respected. Don't miss the meaningful journeys ahead.